The story opens on a disturbing late-night video call. Grace receives a call from her husband, Edward, who sounds desperate and confused. He asks if he can come home, but Grace gently refuses. Before she can say anything else, Edward suddenly mutters a strange warning. The owl is in the walls. His video feed begins glitching violently. A caretaker appears behind him, reminding him that it's time for bed. But Edward isn't ready to hang up. He struggles to keep hold of the phone, creating a chaotic scene before the call abruptly cuts out. What happens next is pure nightmare fuel. Later that night, while Grace sleeps peacefully in front of the television, something silently enters her room. A shadowy figure creeps closer and lowers the TV volume. The sudden change wakes Grace. As her eyes adjust, she notices a horrifying creature hanging from the ceiling directly above her. Terrified, she bolts from the house and sprints into the street, screaming for help. But she never gets far. The monster catches her from behind and drags her back into the darkness. Then the story jumps forward 2 months. We meet Sam, a grieving widower who arrives with his family at an unusual retirement community called the Burrows. The community manager, Kay, welcomes him and shows him his new home, a house that once belonged to Grace. Kay also explains that Grace's husband, Edward, now lives in a nearby care facility known as the Manor, where residents suffering from dementia receive specialized treatment. The Burrows seems modern and comfortable on the surface. Every home is equipped with an advanced AI assistant designed to help residents with daily life. But Sam immediately hates the idea. Without hesitation, he tears the device off the wall. It's clear he doesn't want to be here. The retirement community was his late wife Lily's decision before she passed away, and now he's trapped in a contract he can't escape. Kay tries to make him feel welcome, but Sam's frustration boils over, and he practically throws her out. His daughter Claire isn't willing to excuse his behavior. The tension between them quickly explodes into an argument. Her husband Neil attempts to lighten the mood by showing Sam a golf cart waiting in the garage, but Sam couldn't care less. After his family leaves, Sam notices something odd. The front doorknob is missing. The next morning, he's jolted awake by the sound of a car repeatedly backfiring somewhere in the community. Determined to get out of his contract, Sam heads to the community center hoping to speak with the CEO. Unfortunately, the executive is unavailable. Then something strange happens. A song begins playing over the building's speakers, and Sam suddenly feels disoriented. The music pulls him into a vivid memory of dancing with Lily. For a brief moment, she's alive again. Smiling, laughing, then the memory turns painful. Lily collapses right in front of him. The vision shatters, and Sam finds himself kneeling on the floor of the lobby. Concerned employees rush over, but he leaves before anyone can ask questions. Meanwhile, another resident named Renee is dealing with a mystery of her own. She reports that her bag of rose quartz has been stolen. Security dismisses her concerns almost immediately. Since there are no signs of forced entry, they assume she's simply forgotten where she left it. To them, it's just another elderly resident misplacing things. To Renee, it's proof that something is wrong. The following morning, the same car wakes Sam again. This time, the retired engineer decides to fix the problem himself. After successfully repairing it, Renee approaches him to say thank you. Sam walks away without acknowledging her, forcing Renee to chase after him and lecture him about basic manners until he reluctantly mutters, "You're welcome." But Sam's biggest problem is still waiting for him. While washing his hands in a bathroom later that day, he hears a repetitive tapping sound coming from inside the walls. Curious, he follows the noise. That's when he discovers Edward. Armed with a knife, Edward is stabbing and tapping the walls while muttering about Grace. He insists there's an owl trapped inside, and repeatedly claims that something is terribly wrong. Sam tries to calm him down, but Edward suddenly turns violent. Accusing Sam of being one of them, he slashes him with the knife. A brutal struggle follows. Sam manages to disarm the elderly man, but Edward continues screaming about Grace and the mysterious owl until nurses rush in and restrain him. After receiving treatment for his injury, Sam meets a security guard named Hank. Sam wants to call the sheriff immediately, but Hank reveals something bizarre about the Burrows. Technically, it isn't a town. There are no local police officers assigned to the community, and management prefers handling incidents internally rather than involving outside authorities. Sam isn't thrilled by that explanation. Still, Hank convinces him to speak with the CEO before making any calls. Soon afterward, Sam is taken to meet Blaine, the charismatic CEO behind the Burrows. Blaine apologizes for Edward's attack and even offers to cancel Sam's contract if he agrees not to contact law enforcement. He then introduces Sam to Edward once more, This time, Edward is calm. Blaine explains that Edward suffers from a devastating neurological condition called Maxwell's disease, a disorder that slowly destroys the brain. According to Blaine, Edward's behavior was simply a symptom of his illness. Against his better judgment, Sam agrees to give the Burrows a chance. A few days later, the neighborhood hosts a barbecue in his honor. At first, Sam feels completely out of place. Lily was always the outgoing one while he preferred keeping to himself. But little by little, the residents begin breaking through his emotional walls. They share stories about Grace, discuss growing older, and joke about how society often treats seniors like children. For the first time in months, Sam actually seems to enjoy himself. Then reality strikes again. When one resident suddenly begins choking, Sam experiences another disturbing flashback. For a split second, the woman transforms into Lily collapsing all over again. The vision shakes him badly. Unable to handle it, Sam leaves the gathering. Back at home, he realizes he still hasn't repaired the missing doorknob and can't get inside. Frustrated and overwhelmed, he starts yelling at the door and pounding on it. A neighbor named Jack notices the meltdown and comes over. What follows is one of the most emotional moments in the story. Sam finally breaks down and admits the truth he's been avoiding. His wife is gone. Jack listens quietly and offers comfort, sharing thoughts about grief and reminding Sam that despite his loss, life hasn't ended. There may still be a future waiting for him in the Burrows. That conversation changes something. Later, Sam calls Blaine and leaves a message saying he won't contact the sheriff and plans to stay. But that decision may end up costing him. Because in the middle of the night, a strange beeping sound wakes him from sleep. Following the noise, Sam arrives at Jack's house. No one answers the door. Sensing something is wrong, he breaks in through the back. And what he finds inside is horrifying. A monstrous creature is feeding on Jack's body. Sam grabs a hammer and prepares to fight, but accidentally disconnects a pair of headphones lying on the floor. Loud music suddenly blasts through the room. The creature reacts instantly. It shrieks in panic, throws Sam aside, and escapes into the darkness. Moments later, emergency responders arrive. Officially, Jack died of heart failure. Sam insists a monster killed him. Nobody believes a word he says. As if things couldn't get stranger, that same night Sam dreams of Lily. Her image flickers and glitches like corrupted video footage before a horrifying claw bursts from her forehead. The nightmare ends when Clear calls him. During their conversation, Sam remembers Edward's bizarre warning about the owl in the walls. Curious, he examines the area Edward had been tapping and discovers a hidden owl symbol carved into the structure. Elsewhere, another resident named Wally receives devastating news his cancer has spread to his liver. Despite researching alternative treatments, doctors tell him there is no cure. Meanwhile, Renee uncovers an even bigger mystery. More residents report missing possessions, and every stolen item has one thing in common. They're all made of quartz. Convinced these disappearances are connected, Renee gathers several neighbors and marches straight to security. Unfortunately, they're met with the same indifference as before. No evidence. No investigation. Just another report filed away. Back at the manor, Sam continues searching for answers and visits Edward again. This time, Edward is trapped inside memories of his deceased son. But when Sam folds a napkin into a small kite, something clicks in Edward's mind. Suddenly, he becomes lucid. Edward explains that years ago he captured an owl and locked it away. Then he repeats a cryptic message over and over. The key is in the light. The owl is in the walls. Before Sam can learn more, nurses drag Edward away. Watching everything from a distance is Blaine, and judging by the look on his face, he knows far more than he's admitting. Meanwhile, another resident named Art secretly leaves the Burrows and drives to an abandoned town where he grows mushrooms inside a forgotten house. While working, he confesses his deepest regrets to a pet crow named Brooksy. He reveals that he always suspected his wife Judy had feelings for Jack, but he ignored it because he was terrified of losing her. Now, after Jack's death, he's beginning to wonder whether Judy ever truly loved him at all. Then the atmosphere shifts. Brooksy suddenly becomes agitated. A terrifying roar echoes through the building. The crow desperately tries to escape before suddenly dropping dead. When Art looks outside, the sight is chilling. Hundreds of birds are fleeing through the sky in absolute panic. And then, every single one of them falls dead. While Sam continues chasing the mystery surrounding Jack's death, someone else is quietly dealing with her own obsession. Late one evening, Judy lets herself into Jack's house using a spare key she still has. Standing alone in the silent bedroom, she slowly removes her wedding ring and clutches one of Jack's shirts, unable to let go of the memories that still haunt her. As she searches through the house, she comes across Sam's hammer and decides it's time to get some answers. She tracks Sam down and asks the question that's been bothering her ever since Jack died. Was he suffering when it happened? Sam looks her in the eye and tells her Jack passed peacefully. What he doesn't mention is the horrifying creature responsible for his death. Meanwhile, Sam becomes completely consumed by Edward's cryptic clue. Convinced that something important is hidden inside the house, he begins unscrewing light fixtures one by one. Hours pass as he tears through every room. Calls from Claire go unanswered. The investigation has become an obsession. Eventually, exhausted and frustrated, he gives up and heads to the bathroom to wash his hands. That's when it hits him. He never checked the bathroom lights. Rushing back, Sam removes the fixture and discovers exactly what Edward wanted him to find, a hidden key. The key leads to a storage unit. Without wasting any time, Sam heads to the facility and locates the matching locker. Deep inside sits an old chest secured with a heavy lock. After smashing it open with a baseball bat, he cautiously lifts the lid. Suddenly, a giant eye seems to stare back at him. Sam nearly jumps out of his skin. But after a closer look, he realizes it's only a stuffed owl. At least, that's what it appears to be. That night, while relaxing in front of the television, Sam notices something impossible. A strange glow emerges from the kitchen and spreads through the entire house like a living force. Before he can react, the mysterious light disappears, leaving him even more confused than before. Elsewhere, new questions are beginning to surface. At the community center, Hank hands Pa a report. According to a contact in Albuquerque, police recently pulled over a suspicious driver whose trunk supposedly contained several stolen items, including the missing quartz. But something about the story doesn't add up. When Pa verifies the information himself, Albuquerque authorities tell him no such quartz was ever recovered. Realizing someone is lying, he and Renee decide to secretly investigate the situation together. To gather evidence, Pa installs surveillance cameras around the community center. As they work side by side, the two begin developing an unexpected connection. Later that evening, the town gathers for a memorial service honoring Jack. Tension quietly builds throughout the event. Renee and Wally spend most of the service chatting, which irritates Judy enough that she repeatedly tells them to be quiet. Then Sam arrives and asks Wally to speak with him privately. That becomes the final straw. Judy suddenly explodes in anger, drawing everyone's attention before storming out of the ceremony. At the same moment, Sam notices something deeply unsettling. For a split second, a puzzle piece identical to the one from his dreams appears in front of him. Then, it's gone. Outside, Judy encounters Blaine's wife, Anelise. Rather than offering comfort, Anelise makes a chilling observation. She attends a lot of memorial services. According to her, that's simply the cost of living in the Burrows. Back at home, Art shares his theory about the mysterious bird deaths occurring around town. Judy immediately dismisses his concerns, assuming he's imagining things after taking too many mushrooms. But once she's alone in the backyard, her emotional walls finally collapse. The grief she's been holding back comes pouring out. Meanwhile, Sam invites Wally over for something much stranger. Since Wally is a doctor, Sam wants help analyzing the blood found on the hammer, the same blood he believes came from the creature that killed Jack. Naturally, Wally thinks the whole story sounds insane, so Sam decides to prove it. The two men put on protective goggles and place a tiny drop of blood on a spoon in front of the television. At first, nothing happens. Then the blood begins to vibrate. Seconds later, it starts glowing. The droplet rises into the air, suspended by an invisible force. The room fills with dazzling streams of energy, before the blood suddenly explodes into a breathtaking burst of light. Both men stare in disbelief. The display is so bright that Judy notices it from her house nearby. She rushes to the window just in time to see Sam and Wally carefully bagging the hammer afterward. Days pass. Judy barely leaves her window. Instead, she obsessively records everything happening in the neighborhood, turning her home into a surveillance station. When Art announces he's leaving town for a desert camping trip, she hardly reacts. Later, she spots Wally carrying a strange box down the street and immediately confronts him. Wally quickly invents a cover story, claiming he and Sam are preparing materials for a science presentation at the community center. Judy isn't buying it, especially considering how much time the two have been spending together. Watching from a distance, Hank notices the suspicious exchange as well. Back at Sam's house, Wally completes a machine designed to identify the creature's blood. But before the test finishes, someone rings the doorbell. It's Neil. He explains that Claire needs an album from Lily's collection and reminds Sam that she already requested it earlier. Sam awkwardly tries to rush him out the door, accidentally giving Neil the impression that he's unwelcome. Before leaving, Neil offers Sam a book about coping with grief and gently reminds him that Claire needs him now more than ever. Inside, the machine finally produces its results. And they're terrifying. The blood doesn't match any known species on Earth. Whatever attacked Jack isn't just dangerous. It may not belong here at all. Unfortunately, the experiment consumed the last sample they had. If they want more answers, they'll need more blood. And there's only one place left to get it. Jack's body. The problem? He's scheduled for cremation that very night. As darkness falls, Sam and Wally sneak toward the funeral home. Judy notices them leaving together and secretly follows behind. Using instructions from a YouTube tutorial, the pair manage to pick the lock and break inside. Once inside, Sam freezes. A memorial wreath bearing Lily's name catches his eye, flooding him with painful memories. But before he can process it, they hear movement nearby. Suddenly, Judy charges out of nowhere and sprays them with pepper spray. Unfortunately for her, the canister is so old it barely works. Furious, she accuses both men of being involved in Jack's death and threatens to trigger the fire alarm. With no other choice, Sam tells her the truth. Jack was murdered, and the evidence is still inside the body. For the sake of justice, Judy reluctantly agrees to help. Together, they move Jack's body into position while Wally performs a full examination. At first, everything appears normal. Then Wally discovers something horrifying. Hidden in the back of Jack's throat are strange puncture wounds extending directly toward his brain. The evidence confirms their worst fears. The creature is real. After hearing the full story, Judy panics. She spent an entire night inside Jack's house, meaning she may have been exposed as well. That realization triggers another terrifying thought. The creature was also inside Sam's home. Wally examines both of them and quickly discovers identical marks inside their mouths. The monster isn't attacking random victims. It's feeding on everyone, and nobody realizes it. At the same time, Renee receives an alert from the surveillance cameras at the community center. She immediately calls Pa, and the two agree to investigate. Sneaking inside after hours, Renee hears something crashing in a storage room. When she enters, she discovers pieces of quartz scattered across the floor. Something moves through the shadows. Then the lights suddenly switch on. Renee screams, only to discover it's Pa. Later, they review the security footage together. What they see makes no sense. Objects are falling and breaking completely on their own. No person appears anywhere in the recording. As the night continues, Renee and Pa share drinks, conversation, and growing chemistry that eventually leads their relationship in a far more intimate direction. Meanwhile, Hank arrives at the storage room to examine the damage. While inspecting the scene, he notices unusual markings left behind on the broken objects. Before he can investigate further, he receives a call. Someone spotted movement inside the funeral home. Back at the funeral home, Sam and the others hear approaching sirens and quickly create a plan. When Hank enters, he finds only Sam standing in plain sight. Sam claims he came simply to say goodbye to his friend. Hank doesn't believe him for a second. He immediately places Sam under arrest. Hidden nearby, Judy and Wally remain concealed inside a coffin as officers lead Sam away in handcuffs. And as he's escorted out of the building, Sam catches sight of Lily, standing silently, watching him with unmistakable disappointment. But the question is, was she really there? Or is something far more sinister beginning to take hold of Sam's mind? Just when it seems like the nightmare can't get any worse, the creature makes another terrifying move. Under the cover of darkness, it slips into Renee's house and silently forces its hand into her mouth, leaving behind another disturbing clue about its true nature. Meanwhile, out in the endless desert, Art hears a strange sound drifting through the silence. Curious, he follows it until he discovers an abandoned mine with a rusty door trembling on its hinges. As he approaches, the sharp metal slices his hand open, but instead of turning back, he pushes deeper into the darkness. At the end of the tunnel, Art finds something completely unexpected, a breathtaking tree glowing with an almost supernatural energy. Drawn to it, he picks one of its fruits. The sparkling dust covering it instantly heals the cut on his hand. Amazed, Art takes a bite. The next morning, the effects become impossible to ignore. While stopping at a gas station, every sound suddenly feels overwhelming. He removes his hearing aid, then realizes he no longer needs his glasses either. The mysterious fruit hasn't just healed his injuries, it seems to have restored his entire body. Moments later, an armed robber storms into the store. Art attempts to calm the man down, but reason means nothing to him. Left with no choice, Art fights back. To everyone's shock, he effortlessly takes the criminal down with skills and strength he never knew he possessed. Elsewhere, Blaine sits down with Sam. He reassures him that he's not under arrest, but his concern is obvious. Sam has only been in town a short time, yet trouble seems to follow him everywhere. Blaine believes Sam is obsessed with the idea that some creature killed Jack and insists he should check into the manor for evaluation. Sam refuses. Before ending the conversation, Blaine reveals something chilling: Edward died the very night after Sam visited him. According to Blaine, Edward kept rambling about monsters until the end. The implication is clear. People who go down that path never come back. Later, Sam shares everything with Judy and Wally. Judy wants to warn the town immediately, but Sam suspects Blaine had a hand in Edward's death. To him, the entire conversation felt more like a warning than concern. The group reaches a dangerous conclusion. If they want answers, they must hunt the creature themselves and do it secretly. Wally develops a disturbing theory. He believes the monster feeds on cerebrospinal fluid from human brains, potentially causing the neurological disorders seen in its victims. Suddenly, Edward's condition starts making sense. To test the idea, they need a sample. With considerable discomfort, Wally inserts a needle into the wounds on Sam's throat and extracts fluid. The process provides the final ingredient for a trap. Now all they need is the right equipment, so Sam asks Judy to drive him into the city. At the same time, Art is enjoying his miraculous transformation. He looks younger, feels stronger, and seems full of life again. He spends the day golfing, dancing, and swimming as if decades have been erased from his body. But the high doesn't last. When he returns home, Judy is nowhere to be found. Instead, he discovers Jack's shirt hidden away in the closet. The painful reminder drives him to a bar, where he meets Anelise and pours out everything that's been bothering him. Anelise encourages him to get revenge on Judy, but Art isn't willing to go that far. Then, without warning, his body begins to fail. A wave of sickness crashes over him. His hair rapidly turns white, and he rushes to the bathroom, violently throwing up. To his horror, he coughs up the pit from the magical fruit. Desperate, he chews on it again, hoping to restore its effects. It doesn't work. Art collapses. When Anelise finds him, he begs for help. Instead of helping, she simply watches. Meanwhile, Sam and Judy arrive at Claire's house. Her garage is packed with old television sets, bringing back memories for Sam. He explains that he and Claire once repaired TVs together. More importantly, he's discovered something unusual. The old television tubes seem to interfere with the monster's blood. If he's right, they could become the foundation for a weapon capable of hurting the creature. As they search through the garage, Judy notices photographs of Lily. Sam reluctantly admits he's been seeing the girl around the neighborhood. Before they can discuss it further, Claire arrives. The reunion immediately turns tense. She's furious that her father ignores her calls, yet somehow finds time for everything else. When she demands answers, Sam refuses to explain. Hurt and frustrated, Claire finally declares that she's done trying. Back at the Burrows, Wally has completed their bait. Using a mannequin, a humidifier, and the fluid extracted from Sam's neck, they've created something that should smell human to the monster. If their theory is correct, the creature won't be able to resist. Sam adds another piece to the puzzle. Using powerful magnets, he hopes to focus particles from the television tubes into a concentrated beam. Judy thinks the entire plan sounds ridiculous and leaves to retrieve her gun. At the same time, Renee receives another alert from her security system. Checking the cameras, she spots Hank wandering through a storage room. Curious, she takes a screenshot and searches for information online. What she finds is shocking. According to old records, Hank was once a prison warden named Milton, who supposedly died in an accident back in 1975. Determined to learn more, Renee tracks down Milton's son. He reveals that he despised his father. Prisoners nicknamed him Mr. Smile because the only time he ever smiled was while hurting someone. Then comes the most disturbing discovery of all. In old photographs from decades ago, Hank and Blaine look exactly the same as they do today. Not older, not younger. Exactly the same. Elsewhere, Pa secretly searches Hank's office at the community center and discovers a box filled with quartz crystals. Moments later, he notices Blaine emerging from the basement and decides to investigate. Behind a strange locked door, Pa overhears Hank discussing a missing child and someone named Scar who has been stealing supplies. Suddenly, disaster strikes. His phone rings. Pa scrambles to silence it and hide. Hank hears the noise and investigates, but fortunately fails to spot him. Once the coast is clear, Pa sneaks behind the mysterious door. What he finds leaves him stunned. Before he can react, Hank appears behind him and knocks him unconscious with a taser. That night, Sam's team prepares for their showdown. Everything is ready until an unexpected noise echoes through the house, a sound that shouldn't be possible because Judy carefully sealed every entrance. As Judy investigates, Sam activates the network of interconnected televisions. Unfortunately, the surge trips the breaker and kills the power. Thankfully, Sam anticipated this and switches to a battery backup. That's when Wally sees it. The monster is perched above them on top of a closet. Sam orders him to activate the TVs, but the backup system fails. The creature lunges, closing in for the kill. At the last possible second, Judy bursts into the room and fires. The monster escapes, wounded but alive. Following its trail of blood, the group reaches the kitchen, where they uncover something unbelievable hidden inside the oven, a secret tunnel. Armed with flashlights and knives, they descend into the darkness. What they discover is staggering. An enormous maze of underground passages stretches beneath the entire neighborhood. Each tunnel is marked with house numbers, revealing that every home is connected. Even more alarming, the blood trail leads toward the desert. The group follows it for miles underground until the trail suddenly vanishes. Then, Sam notices a familiar puzzle piece lying on the ground. Just as quickly as it appears, it disappears. Sam immediately recognizes the sign. Whatever they're searching for lies down this path. The next morning, Blaine wakes from a disturbing dream. He searches for Anelise and imagines finding her dead inside a coffin. An older version of her stands nearby, while the younger one flickers unnaturally. Then he suddenly wakes up. It was only a nightmare. Anelise is safe in bed, but the unease remains. On his way to work, Blaine drinks a strange golden liquid. Moments later, Hank calls him, frustrated by the growing chaos that has consumed the town over the past several weeks. And as the mysteries continue to pile up, it's becoming clear that something far older and far more dangerous than a monster is hiding beneath the Burrows. Just when it seems like Hank is running out of options, he reaches out to Blaine for help. But Blaine isn't interested. He coldly reminds Hank of their agreement and tells him to handle his own mess before ending the call. Frustrated and desperate, Hank drinks some of the mysterious golden liquid. Moments later, he announces that he's taking P on a little road trip. Before leaving, he confiscates P's phone and discovers dozens of messages from Renee, including an old photograph showing P standing beside Blaine, a clue that could connect everything. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Anelise pays Art another visit. Art has regained his hearing aids, and Anelise starts probing him with strange questions. She wants to know how he suddenly aged decades overnight. Then she hints at hidden wonders buried beneath the Burrows, claiming she's witnessed them herself and could help him understand. Art refuses to cooperate. He insists it was all caused by too much drinking and tries to shut down the conversation. But after Anelise leaves, he secretly checks his pocket and confirms that the mysterious peach pit is still there. Elsewhere, Renee receives an unexpected visitor, Hank. He claims he's uncovered a major breakthrough in the court case. Renee immediately tries to send him away, but Hank forces his way inside. She fights back, throwing anything she can grab, but Hank barely reacts. He overpowers her, grabs her from behind, and chokes her until everything goes black. When Renee regains consciousness, she finds herself trapped in the trunk of her own moving car alongside Paws. Panic sets in as they scream for help, but nobody can hear them. Then the horrifying truth becomes clear. Hank connects a hose from the exhaust pipe directly into the trunk, slowly filling the compartment with deadly carbon monoxide. At the manor, Blaine meets with Claire and discusses Sam's recent break-in at the funeral home. Claire refuses to believe her father is losing his mind, but Blaine carefully plants doubt in her head. He compares Sam's behavior to other dementia patients and urges her to intervene before things get worse. Deep underground, Sam and the others continue exploring the tunnels. Following traces of monster blood, they discover a hidden opening in the wall leading into the abandoned mines. There, they find a terrifying creature lying helplessly on the ground. Wally sees an opportunity for scientific study and wants to keep it alive. Judy disagrees. Believing the creature is suffering, she ends its misery with a single gunshot. But Sam notices something disturbing. The dead creature has a scar that the monster which killed Jack never had. That means there isn't just one monster. There are more. Before anyone can process the revelation, monstrous roars echo through the tunnels. The group immediately flees. During the escape, Sam freezes when he spots Lily standing beside the dead creature, crying and screaming. The others have to physically drag him away before it's too late. Back on the surface, Art returns to the strange tree, only to discover that it's completely dead. That's when Anelise suddenly appears. She reveals a piece of local history. Decades ago, the mines briefly flourished before the copper deposits ran dry. Later, she and Blaine purchased the property. Her story raises an obvious question: how old is she really? Anelise doesn't answer. Instead, her eyes begin glowing with an unnatural golden light. She offers Art a trade. If he tells her what happened to him, she'll reveal the truth. Art finally gives in. He explains everything about the fruit and presents the pit. Without hesitation, Anelise swallows it whole. Almost instantly, she collapses. Blue fluid pours from her mouth as she falls to her knees. For a moment she seems hopeful, but then disappointment takes over. Whatever Art found isn't the answer she was searching for. Then things get far worse. As Anelise turns around, her body begins changing. Slowly, horrifyingly, she transforms into one of the monsters. Terrified, Art runs. The creature chases him down, tackles him, and prepares to tear him apart. His screams attract Sam's group. They rush toward the sound and find the transformed Anelise. Judy fires immediately. The bullet hits, but it does absolutely nothing. Anelise simply turns and walks away. Meanwhile, Renee awakens again. This time she's sitting behind the steering wheel. Hank calmly explains his plan. He intends to stage everything as a tragic lover's suicide. As he finishes setting up the scene, Renee spots an opportunity. She secretly grabs Hank's taser and shocks him. For a brief moment, it works. Then Hank gets back up. A brutal fight erupts. The commotion wakes Paws, who bursts out of the trunk and joins the struggle. During the chaos, Renee climbs onto the rear of the vehicle and kicks Hank hard enough to knock the car into gear. The vehicle starts rolling, faster and faster, straight toward the edge of a cliff. At the last possible second, Renee leaps free. Paws catches her, and together they watch the car plunge into the darkness below. As they make their way down the road, salvation finally arrives. Sam and the others pull up in Art's truck and bring them to safety. The group gathers at a local diner and starts piecing together everything they've learned. Renee shares the old photograph connecting P and Blaine. Paws reveals that he saw numerous monsters locked inside cages beneath the manor. Suddenly, the puzzle begins making sense. The strange substance found inside the peach somehow exists within the monster's blood. Blaine and Anelise have been consuming it to preserve their youth for decades. Everyone agrees they should leave the Burrows behind forever. Unfortunately, Wally needs medication left behind in town. Paws volunteers to retrieve it and heads back using Art's truck. At the bottom of the cliff, Anelise discovers Hank's body. Later that evening, she finally returns home. Blaine is horrified when he sees the bullet wound in her chest. He immediately places her inside a bathtub filled with the golden liquid. The effect is astonishing. When she emerges, the wound has nearly healed. And now, she wants revenge. Back at the diner, Art privately confesses to Judy that he knows the truth about Jack. Realizing how dangerous everything has become, he tells her they need to go their separate ways. But before either of them can leave, several vehicles surround the restaurant. Blaine has found them. The next thing they know, Renee, Sam, Art, and Judy are being transported to the manor with bags covering their heads. Inside, Blaine begins negotiating with Wally while the others wait. Eventually their hoods are removed, and they're allowed to speak with him privately. That's when they learn the shocking offer that's been placed on the table. Blaine promises they can return home and continue living normal lives as long as they stop hunting monsters and never tell anyone what they've discovered. Break those rules, and they'll disappear into the manor forever. He even guarantees that the creatures will never feed on them again. In exchange, Wally must work for him. The group immediately rejects the proposal. Even if they're protected, innocent people in the Burrows will still remain in danger. But Wally has already accepted. From his perspective, nobody would ever believe their story anyway, and he doesn't want to spend the remainder of his life locked in a cell. With no realistic alternatives left, the others reluctantly agree. Life afterward becomes a prison disguised as freedom. Each of them wears an ankle monitor. Their internet access is gone. Every movement is watched. Whenever Renee attempts to speak privately with Paws, another officer conveniently appears to interrupt. Sam refuses to surrender. He rebuilds his television trap, hoping to contact Lily once again. At first, nothing happens. Then Claire calls him. At the exact same moment, one of the televisions begins crackling with static. Sam ignores the phone and approaches the screen. Suddenly, Lily slams against the glass from the other side. He jumps back in shock. Then every television in the room lights up. Lily appears on all of them simultaneously, desperately begging for help. Terrified and confused, Sam runs outside and finds Art. He admits that he feels like he's losing his grip on reality and wants to escape the Burrows altogether. Art reminds him that the surrounding desert would probably kill him before he got very far. Sam doesn't care. Anything sounds better than ending up in the manor. Meanwhile, at Blaine's secret laboratory, Wally is introduced to a team of scientists. They offer him the golden liquid. At first, he refuses. Then the entire room begins chanting. The pressure becomes overwhelming, and Wally finally drinks it. As the substance takes effect, reality starts bending around him. During the experience, he speaks with the manor's new head of security, a man who casually refers to the monsters as the kids. The phrase immediately catches Wally's attention. Why call them that? The guard simply smiles and replies that every mother has children. Before Wally can ask another question, Blaine quickly removes the guard from the room. Then he reveals why Wally was really brought there. He's been hired to care for a very special patient. And according to Blaine, if that patient dies, they all die. Just when Renee thinks she's finally getting closer to the truth, the mystery surrounding the town becomes even darker. Deep underground, Blaine unlocks a hidden chamber and introduces a man to the creature everyone fears and worships, Mother. The sight is enough to explain why the town has been keeping secrets for decades. Meanwhile, while walking through town, Renee suddenly feels someone grab her shoulder. Instinctively, she fights back, assuming she's being attacked. But the stranger is actually Pa. He quickly pulls her into hiding and explains that they can't risk being seen together. Fortunately, he's been preparing for this moment. The town's 75th anniversary celebration is only days away. With security focused on the festivities, Pa believes it will create the perfect opportunity to free everyone trapped under Blaine's control. Renee agrees to spread the word, but Pa warns her that nothing in town is private. Their phones, vehicles, and even their homes are being monitored. If they want to communicate, they must do it outside. Before leaving, he hands her a radio for secure contact. At the same time, Sam puts his own escape plan into motion. Using a homemade device, he interferes with the signal from his ankle monitor and successfully removes it. Later, Wally secretly meets with Renee and finally reveals the horrifying truth behind the town's existence. Back in 1949, miners discovered a strange egg buried deep beneath the earth. Something hatched from it, a creature now known as Mother. Blaine and his inner circle learned that Mother's blood could stop aging, granting them near immortality. Over time, Mother began producing offspring. To keep both Mother and her children alive, Blaine and Anelise established the Burrows. Mother was imprisoned inside a laboratory, while her offspring were hidden within the tunnel network beneath the town. The creatures would sneak into homes, harvest a mysterious fluid from residents, and carry it back to Mother as food. Wally is furious. In his eyes, Blaine is wasting a miraculous biological discovery on eternal youth and selfish luxury. He believes Mother's abilities could cure diseases and transform medicine forever. Renee immediately notices how obsessed he's becoming and warns that he's starting to sound just like Blaine. When she mentions Pa's escape plan, Wally loses his temper and throws her out. That evening, Renee visits Judy under the pretense of returning a dish. Judy is confused because the dish isn't hers. Without saying a word, Renee subtly signals that someone is watching them. Once Judy takes the dish, she discovers a hidden note inside instructing her to meet at Jack's house at midnight. When midnight arrives, Judy secretly meets with Renee and Pa. Renee explains that Wally has chosen his own path and can't be trusted. She also hasn't been able to locate Sam. As they discuss their next move, Renee proposes a new strategy. Instead of simply escaping, they should eliminate Mother completely. The others reluctantly agree. Far from town, Sam finally reaches a roadside diner and borrows a phone. Desperate for help, he contacts Claire and warns her about monsters and a looming catastrophe. Claire promises to come get him. Exhausted, Sam falls asleep in her car, believing his nightmare is finally over. But when he wakes up, his heart sinks. Claire hasn't taken him to safety. She's delivered him straight to the manor. Nurses immediately drag him inside, while Claire and Neil later head to his house to collect his belongings. Their visit doesn't go unnoticed. Art spots them and learns where Sam has been taken. Realizing the danger, he rushes home and secretly broadcasts a warning over the radio to Judy. They have to rescue Sam before it's too late. Meanwhile, inside the laboratory, Wally witnesses one of Mother's offspring crawling through a narrow tube. The creature inserts its leg into a specialized opening, releasing the stolen brain fluid into a machine connected directly to Mother. The creature they once worshipped no longer looks powerful. Mother now resembles a frail, aging woman on the verge of death. The following morning, as the anniversary celebration begins, Blaine notices Anelise acting strangely. She reveals a frightening problem: her gunshot wound isn't healing anymore. Terrified, she fears Mother is dying. Blaine insists Wally will find a solution before it's too late. Elsewhere, Sam awakens in a haze. Warden Toby casually informs him that he's been assigned Edward's former room. Sam is shocked to learn he was sedated and unconscious for 3 entire days. Furious, he demands to leave. Toby calmly explains that he can't. According to the paperwork, Sam's own daughter approved his admission. When Sam tries to attack him, his body barely responds. That's when Toby reveals the reason. They've already extracted an entire pint of brain fluid from him. Back in town, Pa tricks the officers surveilling Renee's house into leaving their post. Once the coast is clear, Renee, Judy, and Art climb into his van. Pa disables their ankle monitors and reveals that he's temporarily shut down the tracking system. It won't stay hidden for long, so every second counts. At the lab, Mother's condition continues deteriorating. Wally believes excessive brain fluid treatments may have triggered an unexpected side effect: Mother is becoming human. Doctor, Mansour warns that stopping treatment isn't an option. If Mother dies, they all die. While discussing possible solutions, an offhand joke about bone marrow transplants sparks an idea in Wally's mind. They combine Mother's blood with a sample taken from one of her offspring. Instantly, the cells begin regenerating. It's the first hopeful result they've seen. Blaine and Anelise want to attempt a transfusion immediately. But Wally insists more testing is necessary before risking everything. Meanwhile, at Sam's house, Clear becomes curious about a strange device Sam built. She powers it on. Suddenly, every television screen in the house begins glowing. Even stranger, the waves emitted by the machine force Kay's hidden monstrous form to reveal itself for a split second. Claire quickly shuts the device off. Kay returns to normal without realizing anything happened, and leaves, complaining that she suddenly feels sick. At the anniversary party inside the manor, Sam meets a patient who recognizes him from Edward's visits. She reveals that Edward used to escape regularly because a woman known as the Duchess taught him how. Sam immediately asks to meet her. The legendary Duchess turns out to be an elderly woman sitting silently in her room, completely detached from reality. Another patient explains that cigarettes are the only thing capable of bringing her back to herself, and Toby keeps them locked away. To create a diversion, Sam takes the stage during karaoke and begins singing Lily's favorite song. One patient joins in, then another. Soon the entire room erupts into singing and dancing. The staff struggle to maintain control, forcing Toby to investigate personally. That distraction gives Sam the opening he needs. He sneaks into Toby's office, discovers the cigarettes hidden inside a refrigerator alongside sedative injections, and waits. The moment Toby returns, Sam ambushes him and puts him to sleep. Outside, the rescue team is already moving into position. Disguised as patients, Renee, Judy, and Art approach the manor. Pa provides Renee with an earpiece before launching the next phase of the operation. At reception, he creates a commotion by claiming one of his residents escaped. The staff dismiss him until Art suddenly begins pounding on the front door while pretending to be completely insane. As employees rush to deal with the chaos, Pa gains access to the computer system and unlocks a rear entrance, allowing Renee and Judy to slip inside unnoticed. Back upstairs, Sam delivers the cigarettes to the Duchess. The moment she takes a drag, it's like a switch flips in her mind. She immediately recognizes him. Then she reveals something that changes everything. Mother has been watching Sam for a long time. According to the Duchess, Mother appears to each person as someone from their past. That's why Sam keeps seeing visions of Lily. Those encounters aren't hallucinations at all, they're messages. Mother has been reaching out to him. And her message is simple. She doesn't want to remain trapped in this nightmare any longer. She wants someone to set her free. Just when Sam thinks he finally understands what's happening, the Duchess drops a shocking truth. According to her, Jack's death wasn't murder, it was a tragic accident. But what she says next changes everything. If there's any hope of saving everyone trapped in this nightmare, Mother must survive. Then she reveals a strange clue. The bus stop inside the recreation room isn't there for decoration. Sam must be there exactly at 5:15. Meanwhile, P informs Renee and Judy that Sam is hiding in room 157. They rush over, only to find the room completely empty. At the front reception desk, a mysterious woman named Claire suddenly appears and calmly requests to sign Sam out. P has no idea who she is, so he dismisses her without a second thought. As the clock strikes 5:15, a hidden back entrance opens briefly for a nurse. Seeing his chance, Sam bolts toward freedom and slips through moments before the door slams shut again. Renee and Judy spot him escaping, but by the time they reach the exit, it's already locked. Refusing to give up, the two women improvise. In the cafeteria, Renee distracts a staff member while Judy quietly steals a keycard, giving them a new path forward. At the same time, another horrifying discovery unfolds in the laboratory. Wally learns that Blaine has murdered Monsieur. Without hesitation, Blaine announces that Wally will replace him, starting tomorrow. He'll be responsible for increasing the children's feeding schedule and preparing Mother for another transfusion. Wally is horrified. He knows the procedure will kill the residents, but Blaine doesn't care. For the first time, he reveals his twisted motivation. Years ago, his wife survived polio, but the disease left her body permanently damaged. Watching her suffer destroyed him. Now he's willing to sacrifice anyone if it means preventing her from enduring that pain again. Then suddenly, an alarm erupts from Mother's monitoring equipment. Throughout the facility, an agonizing scream echoes through the halls. Sam and the Duchess hear it instantly. The moment Sam sees Mother, she appears once again in Lily's form, writhing in unbearable pain. The psychic connection overwhelms him, and he collapses. When the screaming finally stops, Sam finds himself face to face with Toby. But something is wrong. His eyes are glowing gold. The boy begins dragging Sam away, almost like he's under someone's control. Before he can get far, Renee smashes him across the head with a fire extinguisher. Together, she and Judy help Sam escape. They ask P for directions, but before anyone can move, the entire facility enters lockdown mode. Metal barriers begin sealing exits. Doors slam shut. Escape routes vanish one by one. P radios Art and admits he's trapped inside. Since he can't reach them, Art will have to take over as driver. Nearby, Claire overhears the conversation and freezes when Sam's name is mentioned. Then she reveals a stunning secret. Sam is her father. As P desperately tries breaking through a massive glass wall, Claire points out that it's designed to withstand impacts. Instead, she grabs a tool and pierces the glass at a weak point. The barrier finally shatters. Just seconds before the lockdown seals everything permanently, Sam's group escapes outside. At almost the exact same moment, Claire and P emerge through the broken wall. Waiting for them is Art, behind the wheel of a stolen laundry van. Together, they flee the Burrows. During the drive, Sam makes a decision nobody expects. They're not going to kill Mother. They're going to save her. Then, Renee receives a phone call. It's Wally. And he has done something unbelievable. He's kidnapped Mother. Wally instructs them to meet at the community center, forcing Art to immediately turn the van around. Back at the lab, Blaine faces the wrath of Anelise. Furious over Mother's disappearance, she repeatedly slaps him across the face. Blaine promises he'll bring Mother back. Until then, they must maintain the illusion that everything is normal. At the community center, families are gathered for a cheerful celebration with their elderly relatives. The contrast couldn't be more disturbing. Hidden among them, Wally disguises Mother in stolen clothing. For a moment, it almost works. Then disaster strikes. A security guard approaches. Trying to appear friendly, Mother waves at nearby children. Unfortunately, two extra monstrous arms emerge from beneath her disguise. The children scream in terror. The guard immediately becomes suspicious. Wally rushes Mother away, but the damage has already been done. The guard contacts Blaine. In a nearby dark room, Sam suddenly hears Mother's voice inside his head. Moments later, Wally arrives with her, and the group erupts into argument. Wally insists Mother must stay alive. To him, she's the key to curing diseases and saving humanity. But when Sam locks eyes with Mother, he receives a different message. Mother wants to die. Her children have already prepared the cave where she was born. That's where she wants her journey to end. Wally refuses to accept it. The truth is simple. He's terrified. If Mother dies, so does his hope of surviving. Renee finally forces him to face reality. Keeping Mother alive means continuing her torture. The weight of that truth breaks him. For the first time, Wally agrees to let her go. But there's a problem. Every exit has been sealed. The only route to the cave now runs through the underground tunnels. The group heads toward the kitchen entrance, only to hear Blaine and his people arriving. Knowing someone has to buy time, Judy and Art volunteer to stay behind. Using a radio, they lure the pursuers into the wrong room. Unfortunately, one of Blaine's men discovers them anyway. Captured and cornered, they refuse to reveal Mother's location. Then, things become brutal. Without warning, Anelise plunges a knife into Judy. Art begs for mercy. Before things can get worse, another guard interrupts with urgent news. The oven entrance has been torn open. Instantly, Blaine realizes the truth. Mother is being taken to the cave. Anelise pulls the blade free, and the hunt resumes. Deep within the tunnels, Mother senses the imprisoned children hidden below. Through Sam's connection, she makes her wish clear. She wants them rescued. Renee and P volunteer immediately and split from the group. Following another passage, they reach the basement cages. Unfortunately, the security controls require a key. Then they hear a voice. Stepping from the shadows is Hank, or at least what's left of him. His body has become horribly deformed. Consumed by bitterness, he reveals Blaine has been keeping him hidden until his appearance can be fixed. Seeing an opportunity for revenge, Renee convinces him to help. Hank hands over the key. P unlocks every cage. And suddenly, all of Mother's children are free.